Okay, well, I'm going to teach you how I stretch a piece of paper, and I've stretched probably 4,000 sheets of paper in my life, so I should be able to do this like with my hands tied behind my back. What I've got is 140-pound Archers cold press, and I've got a board here that's a Draftsman's hollow core board. You can use plywood. I've built up layers of tape from previous watercolors, and I find it's nice to leave a couple of layers on the board if they've glued down good. So I've pulled off 2 layers of tape from 2 previous paintings. Now I've cut a sheet of Archers in half, the full sheets, and this board will only consume, it's for an 18 by 24 frame painting, so I do trim a little off of this. Now what I'm looking for now is the watermark, which says Archers of France, and I want to make sure it's upside down. The paper is upside down, and I will trim off a little, leaving about 3/4 of an inch of previous tape showing all the way around the board. So here goes. Now, like I said, it's upside down. You can tell by the watermark, the ID on the paper. I'll get rid of this. Now, with it upside down, I'm going to baste it with water on the back side so that the front side is relatively dry, so that it meets the dry board with dry paper with the wet water-based paper tape, and it doesn't freak out with too much moisture on the paper and not enough on the board or something. Now I'm basting the back side of the paper. This is a 3-inch sponge brush, and I'm putting it on fairly liberal. I go one direction this way. Don't let the paper scoot on you because it'll get water stains on the front of the paper. Now I'm going one direction this way. Pretty liberal. And as I'm doing this, the water is slowly eking into the fiber and the paper is expanding. Now I let it expand for about, it depends on the sheen, let it expand for about 5-10 minutes. So we can cut the camera for 5 or 10 minutes and we'll resume.
Go.
As you're zooming in, there's a sheen on the paper. As that soaks in, the paper is expanding. In about 5 minutes, I'll be flipping the paper over and gluing it down with water-based tape. So we'll give it 5 minutes, maybe 6-7 minutes. Are we rolling?
Yeah. Don't forget about the blow dryer.
Yeah. First point is never use a hairdryer on this to speed up the process. You want the moisture to soak into the paper evenly. And it's been about 5-6 minutes. I still see a little sheen of water on it, but the edges are kind of a flat finish to them now. And I'm relaxing the paper a little doing this, taking out kind of a little bit of the fiber stress of it. Now I take my board and I carefully flip it over. Now this is the top side of the paper. This is the front of the paper. I center it in the middle of the board, and I use this water-based 2-inch paper tape, and this is a kind of a trick. I use my thumbnail, gauge this, try to rip it straight across, set that one there, do 2 of them this way, and keep the 2 on one side that way. Then I go up and down this side, and I measure that off. Try to rip it as straight as you can across. Put one there and make 2 of these. Now I use a big mouth, heavy glass mug and a 3-inch sponge brush. Get the sponge brush saturated, and I start with the front here with the longest run. Take my water-based tape, And I take the roll out of the tape by doing that, and it kind of relaxes it. Alright, now, with the saturated sponge brush, I start right up at my thumbnail here, and I pull the tape through on the sponge brush, and it's got a nice slurry to it, and it's pretty wet, and I'm placing it here and here, and the front of the paper is relatively dry because I watered down the back of the paper, so this dry board and this dry paper make a pretty even contact, and I start in the center, and I use my palms and I push out with quite a bit of weight, and then moving right along, I turn, go to this side.
Oh.
Okay, so I've got this springy piece of paper. I rack it over the corner of the workbench. Just grab it by the tip of my thumbnail, start here, pull it through in one nice swipe, nice slurry, place it in place, kind of pull it out, and then start here and here, press it out. That'll do it now. Rolling.
Yep.
Straightened it out, took the curly cues out of it, started the thumbnail, pull it through. Not a lot of water, just a medium sponge brush load. Line it up, pull it out, pull it out. Now it's done. It'll still roll and wrinkle a little, but as the water evaporates, it stretches, and it'll be as tight as a drum head in about a half hour. And you don't want any bubbles in your tape. You want it to stick to both the board and the paper, and we'll give it about a half hour to dry. Over and out.
Minute.